The joint meeting of Boards of Directors for San Joaquin Hills Transportation Corridor Agency and Foothill Eastern Transportation Corridor Agency is called to order. May I ask Vice Chair Piotr to lead us in the invocation, please?
If you'd bow with me, please. God, we thank you for bringing us all together today and the way that you've set up our government in the United States, that it is set up as we the people. God, thank you for the opportunity that we have as elected representatives to serve the people. And we ask that you would give us that wisdom of Solomon in making our decisions today. And we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. While standing, may I ask Director Puckett to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the greatest country on planet Earth.
Please join me. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, should we go through the roll call or we're still short?
We're short on Foothill, 2 members. We have a quorum for San Joaquin. I can take roll call and just...
Please do so.
Chair Miniger,
Present?
Vice Chair Piotr, Director Connors, Director Heft, Director Munsing, Director Swartz,
Here.
Director Mueller, Director Murphy,
Here.
Director Puckett,
Here.
Director Ward, Alternate Vaughn,
Here.
Vice Chair Shea,
Yes.
Director Bartlett,
Here.
Director Marriott,
Here.
Director Maya.
Here.
We'll wait for 2 on quorum, but we can start with public comments.
Very good. Thank you very much, ma'am. At this time, members of the public may address the boards regarding any items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the boards, but no action may be taken on off-agenda items unless authorized by law. Comments shall be limited to 2 minutes per person and 1 hour for comments. I promise my colleagues we're going to start at 9:30 and we're going to conclude our discussions with regard to the public comments sharp at 10:30. If needed, additional public comments will be held before the closed session portion of the agenda during the public comments continued part 2 and shall be limited to, again, 2 minutes per person for comments unless different time limits are set by the chair and subject to the approval of my colleagues on the boards. With that, the first speaker is Mr. Paul DiCapua.
Good morning. The Coalition to Stop 9 and 18 has prepared a very detailed summary of the numerous reasons why options 9 and 18 currently being studied as part of the TCA's Get Moving OC project should be removed from further consideration. Today, we are submitting this summary, which each of you will get a copy of, as a public comment to be entered into the minutes of this meeting. The Coalition to Stop 9 and 18 was formed approximately a year ago to advocate on the merits against options 9 and 18 on behalf of the residents in San Juan Capistrano, Ladera Ranch, Rancho Mission Viejo, and Laguna Niguel. Since its inception, the goal of our coalition has been to educate our neighbors, elected officials, and others about the myriad of issues relating to options 9 and 18, and to advocate for their immediate removal. To that end, the members of the coalition have attended numerous city council meetings, meetings with various elected officials, meetings with resident groups and homeowners associations, as well as public TCA board meetings. We have communicated to our neighbors the agenda items and the positions taken by all parties. Early on, our coalition determined that to be the most effective, we must communicate with all entities and individuals in a professional, fact-based, and cordial manner, and we have conducted ourselves accordingly. Additionally, the coalition has contributed positively to the discourse that was encouraged by the public input process, and we continue to do so. Our intent, first and foremost, is to advocate the extent we possibly can for our neighbors and the concerns we all have about options 9 and 18. Now Paul is going to talk about the overarching reasons as to why we collectively oppose options 9 and 18.
Would you please state your name for the record?
Oh, yes. Good morning. Jennifer Powers, founder and member of the Coalition to Stop 9 and 18.
Thank you.
And I'm Paul DeCapua. The overarching summary as to why the coalition is opposed to 9 and 18 is simple and straightforward. Options 9 and 18 are the least effective by any measure, the most expensive, requires the greatest exercise of eminent domain, is the most destructive in terms of lost homes and recreational space, faces the most legal, engineering, and other practical challenges, is subject to heavily restrictive open space conservation easements, and is highly unlikely to ever be permitted. Additionally, option 9 and 18 are east-west corridors that do not address the goal of the Get Moving OC project, which was alleviate north-south traffic on I-5. The coalition's findings set forth within the summary that you all received, together with TCA's statement as to the circumstances under which options 9 and 18 were even selected for consideration, despite the past conclusions of infeasibility, are powerful reasons to exclude 9 and 18 from any further study and dismiss these options in their entirety. On behalf of the coalition to Stop 9 and 18, thank you for your time and for immediately removing options 9 and 18 from further consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, Ms. Eva O'Keefe.
Hi, I'm Ava O'Keefe, and I had a presentation that I submitted to Martha a while back, and I was going to talk about traffic numbers and things like that, but really doesn't matter. It seems like whatever information we present to you guys, is not really heard. Unfortunately, you guys, some of you have been tainted by special interests and things like that. Instead, I'm going to talk about the Coalition to Save San Clemente, a public benefit nonprofit corporation. We have filed a lawsuit in the Orange County Superior Court today against the TCA and against the County of Orange. Additional defendants are sued personally: Shane Silsby, Director of the Orange County Public Works; Khalid Bazim, Assistant Director of Orange County Public Works; and Chris Uribe, former Orange planner for Orange County Development. The suit alleges that the defendants failed to provide adequate public notice and opportunity for the public to comment prior to issuing approvals for the Oso Bridge project that will connect the 241 toll roads to Los Patrones Parkway. The suit also alleges the bridge addendum was never formally approved by the TCA or Caltrans. The coalition is seeking to have the Oso Bridge project approval to be deemed void and for an order preventing defendants from all further efforts of construction of the Oso Bridge project until they comply with the requirements to hold a public hearing and to provide the public with the opportunity to comment on this project. Again, guys, a lot of you guys are our neighbors. Some of you, actually, your children and my children go to school together. We play in the same volleyball team. Please don't throw San Clemente under the bus or Ladera or anything else. We're all here. We're all together. We all love South Orange County. Be a good neighbor. Stop this nonsense. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Vaughn Barnes, please.
I'm Vonnie Barnes, president of Rancho San Clemente Master Association, representing 14 HOAs. This is slide 2. Slide 1 is from TCA's website with landmarks added. Toll Road 14 runs through the Monterey land formation where a large landslide is underway. The base of the slope was removed to widen Pico and construct a large retaining wall. At the top of the bluff, St. Andrew's Church lost a large section of parking lot, and more land fractures are moving closer to the church. Slide 2 shows the retaining wall along Pico. About 20 feet into the base of the slope, up to 40 feet high, running 450 feet long along Pico, was cut out of the slope to widen Pico and construct the retaining wall. The landslide is on the slope and bluff top where the parking lot has caved in, covering an area of more than 55 parking spaces. Slide 3 is from the TCA's 2005 EIR, which says that landslides can occur if the Monterey Formation, if the base of the slope is removed, which appears exactly to what have happened here with the landslide. Slide 4 is a demonstrating of the finding of the EIR, which shows the landslide and collapse of the slope and parking lot. This event may serve as a warning of what could happen to many blufftop homes along Route 14 through the Monterey Formation to the Desheka landfill. Here, Idea 14 starts on the left with the landslide at the I-5, moves to the right, and it goes along all the blufftop homes that you see up there. And these include Marblehead Reserve, Via Pacifica, and Forster Ranch. That's just on this slide alone. 14 also has bridges over 5 roads on this slide, including Pico, Frontera, Vera Cruz, Vista Hermosa, Del Rio, and La Plata. Pile driving for support columns and slope grading to construct this route may cause severe landslides and damages to blufftop homes and roadways while destroying the open space. Please post this on the website for transparency and background for the TCA board to make intelligent and informed voting. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Ms. Michelle. Mr. Tom Barnes, please.
Tom Barnes, resident of San Clemente. I would like these statements and resolutions from 26 organizations opposing the toll road extension entered into the public record. That's input from the public. It would behoove you to read it to see what the public really feels on this. The slide on the left, I call Spaghetti 21. That was a spaghetti map that you guys put out a while ago, and it showed these 21 different possible routes. It's erroneously titled Public Generated Traffic Congestion Relief Ideas. That's some mouthful of bureaucratese. The slide on the right was created by Vonnie Barnes and shows the new revised spaghetti map showing 9 roadways. We call this spaghetti map 9. Maybe in the future we'll get a spaghetti map 5 or something, and we'll get down to a certain number of possibilities. When you make a change, there should be a map drawn by a professional cartographer showing the change. Your failure to do this is another example of a lack of transparency by the TCA. The Toll Road Agency has no trouble spending millions on propaganda and paying consultants, but it does not think it is important to provide the public with up-to-date, accurate information. The first time my wife and I appeared to present, we were not allowed to show our slides. The next time we appeared, we used a storyboard to visually present our ideas. Now we are allowed to use slides, which is some progress. By the way, we may have gained the right to show slides, but we lost the right of a 3-minute presentation. We've lost 33% of our democratic voice by limiting us to 2 minutes, which I think is outrageous. Until Route 14 is eliminated with the accompanying map showing its elimination, there cannot be a serious discussion about the future of the toll road. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, Ms. Michelle Schumacher.
Hi, good morning, members of the board. I just wanted to let you know that we have 15,142 signatures against the toll road that have now been submitted to you, many of which are also to have the agency abolished. I'm very concerned that I heard Ms. Bartlett in the hallway talking about the process. We've been coming here for a year. You guys are saying you're following a process. I'm sorry, that's not a process you should be engaged in. You're the Transportation Corridor Agency. You were formed 30 years ago when there was little population in Orange County and the developers wanted to have infrastructure built, and we were being ignored by Sacramento. It was to build 2 toll roads. You have no business, none, looking into these other options. You have no business looking about the future. Your job was to build these 2 toll roads, pay down the bonds, and get the heck out of town. You have failed miserably. Since Mr. Cramen came into office with paying down the bonds. You've been sponsoring events. Ed Sachs in 2014 with Tony Beal decided we'd go grease up the community. We've got the minutes to prove it. It is time for this to stop. It is time to pay down the bonds. We are hoping for a federal investigation. I don't think that any American in this country would take kindly to the city pretending they were the franchise tax board and taking in all the money. You guys are here for toll roads. You're not for the future of mobility. Stay the heck out of it. We've got Caltrans, we've got OCTA. This has got to stop. It has been a year. It needs to stop. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, Gail Hidus.
Hi, I love these pictures. Anybody else love these pictures? Guess what? That's what you plan to destroy. Let me show you a little site. Looks like a piece of concrete, doesn't it? Concrete, 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 concrete. Falling dirt, landslides. That's what you're doing. You have so much evidence of landslides. By the way, that beautiful landslide at the church, my view every day. I just keep seeing the black plastic growing. There is a child care center up there that looks real close to the end of that landslide. My friends and neighbors go to that church. You think that church can replace that land? There is no way. What are you doing? I can't even believe I stand here. I can't believe I listen to the people here. You are basically celebrating the destruction of this. When you bring these beautiful pictures, that's what we have. We in San Clemente voted to have an open space. We paid for that open space. And you just decide, nice to have a little more road. Let's spend a couple $1 billion. $1 billion. This is one of the largest building projects in the nation. For what? Let me think. Was it 8,000 or 12,000 cars a day? $2 billion? Do some math. I said that last time to you. I can't believe when I sit down and do math on this, it just blows my mind that anybody can do it. That you owe $4 billion and you haven't built anything in 20-some years? You gotta be kidding me. You're not gonna pay this off until 2050? $4 billion. How much will it be? A lot more.
Mr. Chair, could I ask a quick question? Putting a phone and hitting these private art pieces of artwork is unacceptable. If they want to speak, they need to stay there. But she took her phone and hit these pictures, and that's not okay for painting. You think it's funny to destroy private property? It's not. Yes, she did. I saw it twice.
Well, I was here at this side, and I didn't hear any contact, by the way.
My mother's an artist. I would never hit somebody's picture, ma'am. Never.
Madam Vice Chair, your points are well taken. Next, Ms. Diana Dulson.
My name's Diana Dolson, and I am a proud and very happy resident of San Clemente. I have lived there for 23 years, and I dearly love it, which is why I have issues with proposed Route 14 of the toll road. You can see, if you look at this map, that the Irvine Soils Engineering Company said that it was on, that Route 14 is on unstable land. Poor choice. Okay, let's look at slide 2. This slide points out that grading and pile driving may cause landslides. Taking a toe out of a hill unbalances an area. Am I too loud? Oh, I thought she was tuning me down. All right, and slide number 3, San Clemente is blessed with a beautiful topography. But as a result of expanding the 5 freeway, we have been reminded that our soil is so unstable, as we can see by what's happening with St. Andrew's parking lot. No one foresaw this complication and other construction issues would be encountered if you proceed with this route. Okay, slide number 4. You've heard this many times before, but it's worth reiterating. Your toll road would harm our schools, our parks, our homes and businesses, our environment, and our health. Knowing all of this, proposing a toll road, especially Route 14, is inexcusable. I taught economics for 33 years, and the huge human and financial costs of a toll road, greatly outweigh its questionable benefits.
Thank you. The next 5 speakers, Elizabeth Corder, Steve Viel, Stacy Irvin, Dagny Cassidy, and Adrian Marks are going to make a presentation to us.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Corder, San Clemente resident. Thank you, point proven. We come here, you hear what you want to hear, you see what you want to see. We have 2 minutes. Can you please just listen to the audio? This is not a NIMBY issue, and we're here to oppose all the toll road extension and options, not just 9, not just 18. We look out for all our neighbors in all of South Orange County, and we're here to oppose all of them. It's not a NIMBY issue. It's even become, as you'll see in a moment in this video, a 49th Congressional District issue, and not just a bipartisan one, even a nonpartisan one. Seated left to right, in case it's not clear in the video, Assemblyman and Congressional candidate Rocky Chavez, Brian Marriott, Mike Levin, and Doug Applegate. Please listen.
Personal properties. Would you use your congressional office to limit access to federal funds to construct TCA's proposed new tollway? If yes, how would you do so? And if no, why not?
So we absolutely have to stop any proposed extension of the 241 or the 73 period, full stop. I think hopefully all 4 of us would agree on that. Now, Assemblymember Chavez introduced a bill, also dead on arrival. And what his bill wanted to do is set some geographic boundaries up on Oso Parkway. What we need, the only thing that will work, is if we remove the jurisdiction of the TCA, period, and allow the OCTA to actually do what they are supposed to do, which is be in charge of regional transit planning. Unless and until we prevent the TCA from any further action, we are going to be dealing with a group of people, of lobbyists and lawyers and PR consultants who are making a ton of money, sending us glossy mailers, which we've all gotten, saying how we need this toll road. The reality, it's going to cost us billions of dollars. It will not alleviate traffic. We need mass transit. We need other solutions that do not involve infringing on our local South OC communities, period.
Rocky, they keep wanting to give you more time. I'm trying to keep from doing that. The toll road is this is a self-licking ice cream cone. I find a place to put that in, Rocky, okay? All right, it did the same thing through Laguna Beach. In answer to the question, what the federal government has done is guarantee some of the bonds that they've used to build the Foothills Toll Road. And what we really need to do is do something about mass transit, because it's just going to get worse and worse. The toll road is a failure. That's what's dead on arrival. And what we need to start talking about are things that are connected to our quality of life here along the coast. And that is mass transit right down the median of the freeways. And get serious about renewable energy in 10 years and stop whistling past the graveyard like you can wait until 2050.
You know, when you look at it, I always, when I'm in Sacramento and somebody brings a problem up, I always ask them, you know, what's the problem we're trying to solve? Do we really need to need this? Toll roads was a great idea probably about 30, 40 years ago, but with changes in technology, with the autonomous cars coming, they're a thing of the past. And we shouldn't be spending any more money on this. But here's the opportunity to actually see how government works. You know, I floated a bill some time ago, about 6 weeks ago, to put it out to actually deal with the authority of the toll road being through. And the Democrats, when it got to it, killed it. Because the leader of the transportation group said, we're not going to let this through. So I went ahead to the Senate, got another one out, within a few weeks, everybody here will be able to support this. It actually moves the TCA into the OTCA, which will stop it. Exactly what was requested here is what it's going to do. I look forward to their support.
I'm going to mention two things to you, and I'll take my chances on handing Rocky 30 seconds because it's important. And the folks at San Clemente have been through a lot, and the folks at San Juan Capistrano have been through a great deal. Sitting on the board of the TCA, I've watched it month after month. The speakers cried, took time off from work, and talked about a toll road that might come through their town, which was built without ever envisioning one, which would have been a travesty. It will not come through San Juan Capistrano. It will not go through the heart of San Clemente. I will support it stopping it also. Where we have to be thoughtful is on the $200 million that the president wants to leverage, because that's going to take private-public partnerships. If we want more public transportation, we're going to have to show that we're good at it. So we do have to be thoughtful about it. It's a bad idea to get folks' hopes up in an election year with Hail Marys. And the attempt to file and the attempt in the Senate is a Hail Mary. There could come a time when we can thoughtfully close it out in Sacramento, but it is going to take a pencil-sharpened Republican governor, folks. I'm sorry, that's what it's going to take. And I look forward to being a part of that, not as governor, but helping him win. Thank you.
Very good, okay. Bailout. In 2013, the Pacific Research Institute cited a debt for the 73 tollway of $136 million per mile, compared to a U.S. average of $17 million per mile. In 2015, the OC grand jury determined that the TCA is carrying a debt level that threatens the agency's solvency and called its debt excessive based on its revenue levels. Last week, the federal government announced it will audit California's high-speed rail project. Since the federal government is a stakeholder in the TCA, will you support a similar audit or federal oversight of the TCA's fiscal and business practices? Why or why not? And I believe that we're at Mr. Applegate.
An audit? Boy, that would be New Orange County, right? Yeah, we've been through this before. We've been through it before, and the fact that the TCA has the discretion to do what it's been doing with the money is felony stupid. But here's the reality. Congress is not going to do that. That's going to be a function of the DOJ as far as an audit, if they're going to do it. And in the last time, the federal government didn't get involved when, the county of Orange declared bankruptcy. That was only the third county that's ever filed bankruptcy in the history of the United States. We need to focus on what the federal government can do and what local government has to do. And in this particular case, you don't want people coming in and auditing state and local government from the federal level. It's just not efficient. That's my position.
Well, the TCA, as I've just been looking at it, actually I come to the conclusion it's corrupt. It needs to have enough. You need to look at it. But I do agree it's going to be, it's one of these areas you say, well, what does a congressman actually do? You know, as a congressman, you could call the state senator, state assembly member in a room and say, we're going to work together. And they understand that because you're the congressman. And then you say, how can we leverage our position at the federal level with the state level to accomplish what we want? To ensure that we hold them accountable for the expenditure of the funds. You know, I've done that a number of times. In fact, I'm doing it right now down in San Diego for an area with a lagoon. A congressman is a leader who understands how the systems work, and how to get something to fund. So the speed rail and the tow road are two very, very different projects. If you remember, we agreed as an electorate in California to take that $8 or $9 billion and plant the seeds for the speed rail. The problem is it has not attracted private dollars, which tells you it's probably a bad project. The toll roads sold out the bonds again, sold out the bonds the third time. The bailout was a line that was largely not used. But I will say this, the last few months I've been on the Operations Committee, the Long-Term Strategy Committee, the TCA, and I don't like what I see. I see seeds being planted for a long-time empire building rather than shutting down a road once it's paid for and built. We're going to need private dollars to do major regional transportation projects, be they rail, be they for cars, electric cars, whatever the case may be, because the federal government has not spent more in 20 years, any year over year as a percentage of GDP on transportation projects, and that's not going to change. So we have to be efficient. I will welcome whatever scrutiny we put the TCA under as to their finances.
I would support a TCA audit. I also think that you're going to have to decide whether you want a member of Congress who's just going to show up and vote or who's going to lead. My background is as a political organizer and as a coalition builder, and I've been involved at the state and federal level in actually getting environmental and clean energy legislation passed with bipartisan support. That's why I've received support from 8 members of Congress and 5 members of the state assembly and other state senators, as well as a whole host of local elected officials, because they know.
No, political fairness, you should probably let him finish. He's the last guy. Thank you.
Next, Mr. Anthony Hayes.
Hi, my name's Anthony Hayes. I live in San Clemente. I'd just like to remind everyone here that every time we perform any kind of commercial transaction here in South Orange County, we're actually paying for this toll road. If you buy a house, if you go to the malls, when constructing the malls, they paid a huge amount of money to the TCA for the doubtful benefit of having these toll roads, and we in turn pay for that every time we go to a mall and buy something. So every transaction we make, we pay a small increment into the TCA to subsidize those few people who actually, very few people who actually use the toll road. So the TCA is almost like a disease on South Orange County. It's a blemish, it's uncomfortable, and it's painful, and it's time to close it down. Thank you.
Ms. Jennifer Aquino.
I'm just here to play the rest of the video. That was hot.
Okay.
I would support a TCA audit. I also think that you're going to have to decide whether you want a member of Congress who's just going to show up and vote or who's going to lead. My background is as a political organizer and as a coalition builder, and I've been involved at the state and federal level in actually getting environmental and clean energy legislation passed with bipartisan support. That's why I've received support from 8 members of Congress and 5 members of the state assembly and other state senators, as well as a whole host of local elected officials, because they know whether it's a TCA audit or San Onofre or any of the other issues that we're speaking about tonight, I will be a true partner of Dana Point, a true partner of San Juan Capistrano, San Clemente, and the other 7 cities in this district. Now, as far as the TCA goes, if the TCA didn't exist today, there isn't a single person in this room who would call for its creation. The lawyers, the lobbyists, the influence peddlers, they have taken over the TCA. We need to put a stop to it once and for all. We need to make sure they don't spend another of our dollars on a project that has failed.
Madam Clerk, this is the last card that I have.
Yes, it is.
Very good. The public hearing is closed. Now, moving on to San Joaquin Hills consent calendar items, items 1 through 6. Oh, would you please update us on the roll call?
We have quorum on both boards.
Very good, thank you.
I'll move approval of the consent calendar for San Joaquin.
I'll second.
All right, it was moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is approved unanimously. Moving on to the next item. All right, 1 through 6. Now, this item is Foothill Eastern. Consent calendar, items 1 through 4 and 7 through 8.
Move the calendar.
Second.
All right, before we proceed, Director Ward, which item would you like to pull out?
I would pull 1, 2, and 4.
1, 2, and 4. Any other directors? We have the 4. All right. For the remainder of the items, do I have a motion to pass?
I'll move.
Second.
All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is approved. Item number 1, Director Ward.
Item number 1, I am speaking to the, let's see, let me make sure I've got the page here. In the minutes of the consent calendar, page 6, it talks about items that I pulled from the calendar last meeting, April 12th. Number 2, I requested a presentation of the JPA agreement and charter at the April 25th, 2008 budget workshop. I was present at the April 25th budget workshop, but a presentation of our JPA was not made. For those of you that were not there, we didn't receive a copy of the JPA and no presentation was made. In fact, it wasn't even agendized. I have a copy of the agenda here, and all it is for the committee business. The chair of that, Mr. Minigar, gave us as much time as possible to talk about the JPA, but it was very quick because it was not agendized. And so I would ask Mr. Kramer why, at that request, if it says here in the minutes of that meeting that I requested a presentation of the JPA agreement, why was that not agendized and a presentation made?
Mr. Joseph, legal counsel.
Well, I can certainly respond to that. A presentation was made at that particular meeting regarding the joint powers agreement and the authority of the TCA under that agreement. You know, we're certainly happy to present additional information should the board request us to do so.
I would ask that a copy of the JPA, our original agreement of why we formed this agency, and any amendment to it be sent to every single director. And I would hope that someone, that's a motion. Can I make a motion on something like this?
No. It's
No?
not on
Okay.
the agenda.
So that's my request, and I would hope that you would support that, because if you were there and you heard that conversation we had, if you didn't understand it, you should ask yourself why. And I think it's because that JPA agreement was not presented. I asked you to go back to your cities and look for it, but I think you would be hard-pressed to find it and find currently what the amendments are to that. So I think it's it's very telling that our staff did not bring that to us and didn't follow that request. So-
Thank you, Director Ward. Any concluding statements, Mr. Joseph?
Only that we would be more than happy to provide a copy of the joint powers agreement to all of the board members.
Very good, thank you. Do I have a motion to pass this item?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Any second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Item number 2,
Abstain.
Director Ward.
Abstain on the minutes for me, please, because
Acknowledged.
I didn't attend that meeting, so.
Thank you, Director Murphy.
Thanks.
Item number 2, Director Ward.
Item number 2 is the committee reports. I'm speaking of the Joint Operations and Finance Committee meeting that was April 25th, 2018, where we did talk about, a little bit about the JPA agreement. None of that is reflected in the committee report, but it does say, the committee discussed creation of an ad hoc committee to discuss the future division, or the future vision for the agencies. The Joint Executive Ad hoc Committee will further discuss this on May 9th, 2018. This should reflect that we had a discussion, albeit very small, on the JPA agreement. It was not completed. There was still a lot of questions. Our time was cut short, but I object to this, and I did at that meeting, this going to an ad hoc. It was not, these cities, we didn't take a vote on sending it. Our chairs of the boards of the Foothill Eastern said, let's send it to ad hoc. And if we're going to talk about our JPA agreement and what our cities agreed to, it should be all of our cities. It should not be an ad hoc committee. I think there's been a little bit too much ad hoc committee planning for this agency, and it should be all of our cities so we know what we're getting our cities into. I object to that ad hoc, and I hope you don't put it on that committee, that executive committee meeting.
Well, Director Ward, your points are well taken. Do I have a motion on this item?
So moved. Second.
Okay, it was moved, seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion is carried. Item number 4, Director Ward.
Thank you. Item number 4 is the average vehicle occupancy monitoring program to hire a consultant for SCAG. This is in our MOU that we will do this every year, and I would like to ask that after that report is submitted to SCAG, that the directors would all get a copy of it.
No problem, no problem. I advocate that. Very good. Any second?
I'll move that.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion is carried unanimously. Items 7 through 8. All right, it's already passed. Moving on to, all right, board business items 9 through 14, and this one is for the joint boards. Manager of Marketing and Communications, Ms. Lisa Gans.
Good morning. The item before you today is staff's recommendation on website design, development, and management services. This item was presented to the Joint Communications and Marketing Committee in April and approved unanimously by the board's, approved unanimously for the board's consideration today. Excuse me on that. So a little bit about the tollroads.com. The tollroads.com has more than 25,000 visitors each day. It's the most used source for account and payment-related activity. It's also the online location for general agency information, including board meeting agendas, finance and investor information, capital projects, and environmental programs. Expertise is needed to support staff in the design, development, and maintenance of the website to enhance the user experience, but also to ensure that the public portion of the site is functioning properly 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. TCA's website is divided into 2 domains, which are managed jointly by the Communications and Toll Operations Department to ensure a seamless experience for website visitors. The website responsibilities of the 2 departments is as follows. The Communication Department handles the management of the front end of the website, such as the homepage, news and alerts, help and about TCA sections, as well as overseeing the user experience and design consistency for the entire website. We also maintain content and page updates such as agenda, board meeting dates, road alerts, and this ensures the timely updates and helps to manage the costs. Toll Operations Department covers the management of the back-end side for customer account access and payment-related pages. They also manage server hosting and technical troubleshooting. The current contract with Civic Connect, they're formerly known as Civic Resource Group, expires in June of this year. The scope of the work for this contract is to manage and maintain the front-end portion of the website. This includes design enhancements to the user interface and user experience, functionality upgrades, Drupal 7 content management system updates, and a possible refresh over the course of the contract. In addition, it includes annual updates to the toll calculator, content changes, updates to support the 6C transition initiative, quality assurance testing, analytics, maintenance support, as well as training. So a request for proposal was published via Planet Bids in June, and the RFP directed interested firms to provide relevant expertise, case studies, technical expertise, and recommendations to enhance the current TCA website, along with their corporate structure, staffing, and hourly rates. 8 firms submitted their proposals by the February 22nd deadline, and the firms are listed here on your screen. The written proposals were evaluated by a team from the Communications Department as well as the IT Department. These are the rankings of the 8 written proposals. The top 4 firms were invited to be interviewed on March 26 and 27. It was predetermined that the scoring of the interview portion of the process would determine the final rankings of the firms. And for the interviews, the firms were also asked to provide additional details that were not in their initial proposals on their maintenance, backup, and update plan, protocols, staffing, and response times in the event that the website went down or other issues. So of the 4 presentations, Web Advanced received the highest rankings. Web Advanced has strong transportation industry experience, having worked on OCTA.net, MetroLinkTrains.com, as well as PacificSurfliner.com. They have a history of successfully implementing complex scheduling, which can help us in our toll calculator updates. They also recommended that we maintain the Drupal content management system, which was recently implemented in 2016. With demonstrated deep technical experience, preventative maintenance, and monitoring support, they provided thoughtful recommendations that included mock-ups on potential design concepts. Web Advanced also presented a strong staffing plan to support TCA. While the incumbent, Civic Connect, received the highest rankings in the written proposal scores due to their knowledge of the agency's website needs and challenges, their verbal presentation had a change in their staffing plan, and the recommendations on the website improvements were not very strong, especially compared to Web Advanced's thoughtful and targeted solutions. Civic Connect also provided weaker response to the questions about their preventative maintenance and emergency protocol plan, which is a critical component to the scope of work. Monkey Boy Web Designs, who ranks second in the written submittal, provided a strong written proposal and relevant experience with toll agencies in Texas, made recommendations in their verbal presentation that were not really included in the scope of work, such as the need to change our content management system, which was Drupal 7, which was updated in 2016, and any change would require a significant investment. Also during the interview, Monkey Boy responded that they were not familiar with Amazon Web Services, our hosting provider, which would make getting them up to speed with TCA a bit more challenging. Web Advanced, on the other hand, has extensive experience with Amazon Web Services, and it's their preferred hosting provider. The interview panel unanimously agreed that Web Advanced demonstrated the best qualifications and the best fit for the agencies. A little bit about Web Advanced. They're a 17-year-old privately held company based in Irvine. They have 15 employees, 3 full-time contractors. The key contacts for TCA are principals and managers who have been employed by Web Advanced more than 12 years, and their clients include the previously mentioned transportation agencies, but also consumer brands in hardware and sporting industries, as well as higher education. The proposed 3+ year budget for this time and material contract is $485,100. We've outlined the work plan here to include the following. So the remainder of this fiscal year, FY18, the initial plan would be that the contract would start on June 1st for a transitional period with the incumbent and an onboarding process so that there's no lack of support in that middle ground. On FY19 and 20, We anticipate ongoing maintenance and regular enhancements, but also supporting the 6C transition and account simplification initiative. In FY '21, again, we would plan for maintenance and enhancements, but also a possible refresh of the website design. The requested budget is in line with previous annual website budgets for regular updates and maintenance of approximately $100,000 a year, and the incremental budgets each year in 19, 20, and 21 cover transitional costs for the 6C initiative as well as possible refresh design. So with that, staff is recommending the approval of contract K001212 for website design, development, and management services with a not-to-exceed amount of $231,000 for each agency to Web Advanced Corporation for a term from June 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2021, and the contract includes 2 one-year option terms, as well as the authorization for the CEO to execute additional changes to the contract for 5% for contingency. So with that, I am open for taking any questions.
Very good. Thank you very much. Discussions.
I'd like to move approval of web services design per staff recommendation.
Second.
Oh, so many seconds. Who's going to lead the second? I heard Director Heft. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye is approved unanimously by both boards.
Thank you.
Don't you need 2 motions? You
Oh,
gotta have
2
separate
different motions?
I'll
All right.
I'll move it for Foothill. Second.
I'll second.
Second. All right. It was approved and moved. We want to be efficient.
Yes, we do.
You need a vote for the.
Item number 10. Director of Information Technology, Mr. Rick Carrier.
Good morning. I'm Rick Carrier, your Director of Information Technology. This item is a contract to update the audio-visual equipment in the committee conference room across the hall and 2 conference rooms downstairs, the Foothill Conference Room that's close to Amy's office and the Operations Conference Room located next to the walk-in customer service area. The aging projectors and screens in those rooms limit the video presentation capabilities and need to be replaced. The new equipment will improve the viewing experience, support multiple presenters, and be device agnostic. In the committee room, the existing projector and screen will be replaced by 4 new LCD monitors connected to a video distribution system that will support wireless presentations from a variety of platforms. An array of speakers and microphones will be installed in the ceiling to evenly distribute the audio. Similar improvements will be made to the other 2 conference rooms, replacing the worn-out projectors and screens with LCD displays that support wireless multimedia presentations. This item was discussed at the March 21st Joint Co-ops Committee. The committee supported the plan, offered recommendations for equipment locations, and approved moving forward with the procurement. Staff released a request for quote to upgrade the capabilities in the conference rooms, and we received 2 bids. This is a low bid procurement, and Golden Star Technology offered the lowest price. Golden Star is a woman-owned business in Cerritos with offices in Costa Mesa and Corona. Golden Star has been providing audiovisual solutions to private industry and government agencies for over 30 years. Staff is recommending the boards authorize the CEO to execute a contract with Golden Star Technology in a combined not-to-exceed amount of $88,200. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Director Schwartz.
Yeah, I just have a question, probably maybe counsel, on both these contracts. Are we by standard course, since this is a publicly funded agency, we're requiring performance bonds and payment bonds on these contracts, the service contracts and these supply and install contracts? Are we not?
Hi, good morning. I'm Colleen Franco, Director of Contracts and Procurement. And yes, we did require performance and payment bonds on this contract, according to Public Contracting Code.
All right, thank you.
Anything over $25,000.
Okay, thanks.
Very good. Any other questions?
I'll move the item for Foothill.
All right, any second
Second.
for Foothill? Director Ward, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried
I will
unanimously.
I'll move it for San Joaquin.
Director Munzing, moving. And Director Connor seconding. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried unanimously. Moving on to item number, let's see, moving on to the joint discussions on adjustment for Chief Executive Officer Michael Clayman's salaries.
Good morning. My name is Itama Rodriguez Moisa. I'm your outside counsel specializing in labor and employment. This particular item allows the Board of Directors pursuant to Article 4.4 of the CEO's employment agreement to discuss an annual compensation adjustment for the CEO, Mr. Crayman. Under the contract, the CEO is eligible for a compensation adjustment the first pay period of July of each year. The last performance review related to the July 2017 time period, which was almost 11 months ago, 10 months ago, and the item was discussed in closed session by the Board of Directors on April 12, 2018. The Joint Executive Ad Hoc Committee, serving as a CEO Compensation Subcommittee, completed the CEO performance evaluation, and it was delivered by the board chairs to the CEO on April 25, 2018. Following the completion of the CEO performance evaluation, compensation and contract terms for the CEO are supposed to be agendized for discussion and approved in open session at a regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Directors, and that is today. The components of the compensation for today's discussion involve adjustment of his annual salary and/or consideration of a merit bonus. Adjustments and amounts are at the sole discretion of the Board of Directors. Additionally, for your information, auto allowance is per the County of Orange rate, and deferred compensation is per the Internal Revenue Services Code Section 457B. It is my understanding we're also considering today consideration of an extension of the term of employment under Article 2 of the CEO Employment Agreement, currently set to expire in June of 2019. The board, made by mutual agreement with the CEO, may extend the term of the employment.
Thank you, ma'am. Discussions. Chair Sachs.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Irma. So this review was done by the executive committee, which consists of the chairs and the vice chairs. The performance evaluation was performed last month, I believe, and the review was received and signed and documented by Mr. Crayman and the ad hoc committee. The unusual circumstances here include an extraordinary amount of time from his last review, which was up to June of 2017. So he was given no review, essentially, from June of 2017 through June of 18, and the June, which is coming up next month. And so the review we're doing now for the second year, June 18th through June 19th, was considered when we evaluated and gave the review, which included input opportunities that some of the board members took and others elected not to. Under normal circumstances, we would have offered a 4% base salary increase. Considering that we would like to include this second year performance review, which is what we've essentially done, instead of a 4% for each of the 2 years, the proposal is the 6%, if you look on the page at option 2, which carries back to June of 2017, and that pay raise of 6% goes forward through June of 2019. In addition, we also recommend the extension of the term of employment to October 8th, 2023, a period of 5 years. And finally, in addition, approve the award of a non-base building merit increase, which we've awarded in the past, again for the 2 years of $20,000, considering both years. So with that, I would like to move the recommendations here.
Mr. Chair?
Director Marriott? Yeah, question for staff. So are the items linked? In other words, is the extension and the compensation adjustments one vote? And is that necessary?
It's up to the board, if we want
But
to
that's how,
separate them,
that's
we
how it's
can.
currently packaged.
It's up to the board, we are flexible, we can do both, or we can do one at a time.
I would move we split the two.
I'll second that.
Okay, we can
Split
split it. Well taken. All right, so any other discussions, and then we can go one by one. Vice Chair Piotr.
I just want to clarify some of the things that Mr. Sachs brought up. So basically what we're doing is we're agreeing to a 4% increase every year. That's option one. And it would be retroactive to July 1st of last year. And the second 4% increase would be July 1st of this year. But the alternate and what the motion is instead of doing that, we're going to do a single raise of 6% retroactive back to July of last year. And what you see there is you're going to end up with two different things. One is the actual net salary or money that will go to our director is going to be actually less by only $5,000, less than $5,000. But it'll also mean that his base salary will be lower at the end of option 2, which would be the end of 2019. Because instead of going up, in effect, 8% compounded, or 4% compounded, which would be 8 plus, it'll only be the same, the 6%. Anyway, I just wanted to clarify that. That's one of the reasons I was supporting option 2, and I think it's just cleaner from a bookkeeping standpoint. And Mr. Kramer seems satisfied with it, so thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Chair Sachs?
I also want to include the review, comparative review of the second page of the handout, which includes the CEO of the OCTA, his compensation, and the compensation of the deputy CEO, his compensation. So if you're comparing agencies like agencies, this certainly puts CEO Kramer in line with the deputy CEO of OCTA. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Director Sachs. Director Munzing.
Yeah, not to be redundant, just purely for clarification. You did move option 2, is that right? Okay, great, thank you.
Vice Chair Shea.
Yes, thank you. Just briefly, I just want to state that I'm very pleased to support this. I think it's a very reasonable contract renewal, and I just want to thank our CEO for doing a really good job over the last couple years. Since you came on board, you've really been improving in many, many ways. We get so many compliments from folks in the county, and we're up against a lot of pushback, and that's normal in public and even in private agencies these days. So I just want to personally thank you for all your hard work and your diligence and your professionalism. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Shea. Director Ward, you had a question?
No.
Oh. Any other comments?
Director Murphy. Just a question. So to be clear, this is basically a retroactive raise, correct? Okay. Thanks.
Yes. Any other comments? Then we need to have a motion for the first one, which is approval of adjustments for the compensation, and then obviously the second one's going to be with regard to the term of the employment, the extension for 5 years. All right, second, Chair Sachs, second by Director Puckett.
Yes, I move for both agencies.
And I'll second for San Joaquin.
Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
So the motions are
I'm
passed.
going to record an abstention on that because I was not able to participate in the closed session.
Director Murphy, acknowledged. Thank you. Very good. It's passed unanimously. Congratulations, Mr. Kramer. For the extension, 5-year extension, San Joaquin Hills?
Mr. Chair, may I make a point of clarification?
Yes, please.
Mr. Kramer's current contract expires on October 8, 2019, so a 5-year extension would take it to October of 2024,
Not 2023.
not 2023. So I want to make sure we have that clear on the record.
Well taken.
I was moving the extension from this date, not the month.
From now, got it, from April of, or May of 2018.
Right, so essentially it'd be a 4-year extension of his current contract.
Thank you very much for the clarification. As a person who's going to write this up, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Dates, I understand, are very important to attorneys.
We
Mr.
have a
Chair.
friendly motion for amendment.
Can we go ahead and just make it June 30 of 2023 so that it ends at the same time as a typical fiscal year or pay adjustment? Does that make sense?
Mr. Kramer, any
That-
comments?
That would be acceptable to me.
Is that a friendly amendment?
Substitute,
it as a
substitute
friendly
motion.
Substitute motion? I'd second that.
I'll second.
It was seconded by Director Haff. All right, all in favor say aye.
Discussion?
Any other discussions on this?
So,
Director Mario.
thank you. So so the vote is to extend to 2023. We modified the month, right, to June.
Correct.
And if we didn't extend, then it would just still be in discussion, and Mike would be contractually guaranteed until about this time next year. No, later, about 18 months. No more complicated than that, correct? Right, General Realm?
Yes.
Thank you. So I intend to vote against this, and it pains me a bit. I like Mike a great deal, and I think he's excellent at several components of his position. But we're not, since I've been on the board, I don't see total success. I see a certain amount of chaos. We're in the news a lot. We're in court a lot. And that's a lack of execution. And I don't think this is a time to be extending Chairman Kramer for several years. He's had a tall order. I mean, he's had a lot of challenge, and it's a very, very complicated thing to try to get the 241 extended through. And I saw that immediately. But at the end of the day, we're a results-oriented organization. We have an obligation to the bondholders. And I don't think I can extend Mike at this time for several more years. It just seems inconsistent with what we've been dealing with and how it's been handled in a cumulative way.
Mr. Chair.
Vice Chair Piotr?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Joseph, but Mr. Kramer still serves at the pleasure of the board, and we can terminate him under the conditions of the contract, and there's a severance package if there's no cause.
That's correct.
So even though we extend his contract, he still serves at the pleasure of the board.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I have one question for Mr. Joseph. The discretion of the board, the majority of the board would be potential termination within 30 days or 60 days for the record and for the public? You can refresh my memories.
I'd have to look at the contract. I don't recall what the time period is, but it certainly is at the discretion of the board.
Well taken, thank you.
I have that in front of me here. We do not have to provide any notice of termination. We just notify, and he has a 6-month severance
Within 24 hours.
within 24 hours.
It's a 90-day severance, because Amendment 2 changed it from 6 months to 90 days.
That's correct. That is correct.
Thank you. Director Ward.
I would share the concern that Director Marriott expressed. Certainly, it's very difficult to try to extend a toll road through an area where no one wants it. It's always been very difficult to get it into South County. The 241 was killed by a vote in 2008. And then this agency since 2008 has been on multiple campaigns to try to create enough interest to get this going again. Our current one being the South County Mobility Project. San Clemente has made no bones about being upset about how this South County Mobility Project has been handled, how the process has been handled. So I just want to make that point that I wouldn't be supporting it either. I think we need to see how this goes, and if this agency starts to turn around and do the things that we're supposed to be doing, and planning for the things that we are supposed to be planning for, then I would support going forward. But I have the same concerns. And also, this evaluation was a pitiful effort on the board's part to participate in. So we seem to have a breakdown of evaluating our executive director, our officer.
Chair Sachs?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would remind the board members here that it was Mr. Kramer that worked to drive us through the environmental agreement that was a landmark agreement to start to understand any potentiality and possibility to move forward on a connection of the 241 and bringing those disparate groups of environmentalists together is an accomplishment that I don't believe many, if any, of us could have managed. With regard to the bondholders and their responsibility, the rating of this agency has been increased. The bonds were reissued and sold out almost immediately. Were there any concerns with bondholders? That would have been raised at the time of the resale and reissuance of these bonds. With the understanding that it was 2 years ago during an evaluation that some additional guidance was requested of the then board for Mr. Kramer, who he has engaged in wholeheartedly and fully. And if you look at his demeanor and operational style through the past 2 years, there's been a marked improvement and engagement. Mr. Director Spitzer used to always joke about the CEO being an engineer. My father, rest in peace, was an engineer. I had no negotiating power whatsoever with my father. Even after I became emancipated, I had to do everything in a linear requirement to help him understand why I should be able to have the car keys for my date next Thursday.
You used to get dates.
I used to get dates. I remember both of them vividly. So I would just ask the board to reference all the milestones that have taken place and the milestones that have been accomplished both through the leadership of Mr. Kramer and the unanimous, in most cases, consent of the board of directors. So I would like to ask that you consider those things when casting your vote. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Director Schwartz?
Yes, I'll also be opposing this. I think, first of all, not all of us are totally pleased with the settlement with the environmental groups. The city of San Clemente would have loved to have been made aware of it before it was finalized and settled instead of reading it in the paper the next day. So some of those things weren't handled to the best of what we see. And I think right now, I don't know why we're doing it right now. I think the optics with all the things that are coming to the board, where we're getting lots of play on talk radio and newspapers and everything else, and the public, why now we choose to do this. So we have a year to work through some very difficult issues, and I'd be welcome to look at it when we get through some of these issues to talk about it way before it expires. But I just don't think now is the right time. It's real poor timing.
Thank you. Director Huang?
I want to put in my 2 cents worth in terms of being here for the past year. And I think Mr. Kramer will remember right off the bat, the first month I was here, I went up to him and offered my very constructive criticism. And I thought he took it so well. I was very surprised and pleased, and observing him for the past year, he really took it to heart, and I think that is remarkable for someone who could very well have shut his door on me and say, well, you're a new director, and wait around and see. But instead, he took it really well, and I wanted to say that because I hear a lot of concerns here, but our CEO works. The way his direction is from us. So any of the chatters here about some of the directions he took, that's on all of us. I agree with Director Ward that the board's lack of participation in the survey is problematic. And I think but that should not be held against him because that's our fault. And I will be the first one to admit I didn't fill one out. I found it in my junk mail box. So it's my fault for not looking at that folder. I didn't realize it until it was brought up. Why wasn't it filled out? Went and looked and searched all my emails and finally found it there. So, and I definitely will do better on that. But I think it is very difficult to lead an agency through these tough times. I have found Mr. Creeman, when I had my conversations with him, have been very objective, providing all points of views, and information that I need to make my decision. And I think that's remarkable, and I kind of take to heart of anybody saying that he is biased in any ways, or any suggestions, because has not been true in my dealing with him. And when I pushed back and questioned data, information, I was provided objective information and data. And lastly, as to the settlement issues, well, I understand your concern, Director Schwartz, but these issues were brought in during closed session. If San Clemente wasn't there, then, we need to look at how we can better communicate with San Clemente on those issues. But to hold it against the CEO, and then I don't think that would be proper. So that's my concern.
Thank you, Director Huang. Director Mueller?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have a lot to add to the last two directors. Director Sachs hit it right on the head. I've been here 2 years, and yeah, I've seen a marked change in Mr. Creeman and how he deals with people. And me personally, when I first came in, I had some of the same conversations. I was concerned about things. And I used to deal with a lot of engineers, so I kind of took with a grain of salt. That's how engineers talk to people sometimes. But, I've watched his demeanor change. He seems to listen more. And for lack of a better word, he's grown as a CEO. And he's a much better leader. In terms of the debt service, Chair Sachs hit that right on the head. We've sold out our bonds immediately. Our ratings keep going up. I don't think that our bondholders are unhappy with the performance that they're receiving. And, I would just like to go out and say, again, I've only been here 2 years. I got here right as the settlement was being agreed to or negotiated. I didn't vote on it. I was out of town. So, that's a board decision to do that. That's not Mr. Creeman creating this agreement on his own. The board came together and agreed on that. So, try to hold that against him, I think, is inappropriate. But I think I'm going to support this motion to extend it, because I have seen the leadership in Mr. Creeman. It's exactly what this board needs. He's very thoughtful. We do listen to other people. He listens to us as directors, and I think that's important for our leaders. So thanks.
Thank you, Director Mueller. Director Shea?
Yes, and I'll just hopefully just be short. Number one, as I've said, I'm very proud of Mike and his effort. Especially, too, I didn't add the fact that you've really brought together a stellar staff that works for us, that are very on top of every issue that comes up. They're very communicative. They've just been wonderful to work with. But I do agree with some of the comments that were made in regard to the fact that Mike Creeman works for us. We direct him. We vote on these issues that are very difficult, and I know it's created some splits between us, and which is sad because we all know in our own communities how these issues can really create so many factions and split relationships, which is very difficult. But we as a board have directed Mike Kramen to move forward on 241 and all the other things that he's directed to do, and he fulfills that obligation very well. So I think that if there is an issue, it really isn't with Mike Kramen unless we personally see some problems with him, and then of course we should address it. We've asked everyone to submit comments to us, and almost we had 2 or 3 comments. That was it. No one, commented in closed session, except I think Mrs. Ward did, which is fair. But I think that just to be fair, honestly, what we're doing is just continuing a great relationship with someone that implements our policy. And if anyone's upset with the policy, it's really incumbent upon all of us to have it maybe a different position, a different vote, a different perspective. But it's really, we're the ones that are making these decisions. He's just implementing them. So with that, I won't say much more, but I'm just very pleased with our staff. I love working with all of you. And Mike, it's really been a much improvement over the last 2 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Shea. Director Marriott?
Oh, nice.
Go ahead. Then.
Oh, thank you.
Lady Mary.
You could go first and then.
Okay.
I'm dizzy.
I tried to cede you the floor, and I
Oh,
was,
thank
I was
you.
overruled
Thank you,
by
Brian.
the
I
chair.
appreciate it.
So very briefly, there is much I don't know. There isn't much that I didn't witness in terms of the legal settlement and what that required and so forth. And then I was in the meeting where I thought we were reviewing Mike. We were a little bit dysfunctional. We were unable to do the closed session review at that time. And then I was unable to be at the follow-up meeting where he was formally reviewed. I want to be very clear. I like Mike a lot, and I think he's very good at a lot of the job. But and I appreciate the clarification, but I'm familiar with it. I know that we can obviously terminate somebody at any time, but this is an endorsement, and that's very, very different. That when you lay out a new 5-year term, that's a very, very strong endorsement 18 months out. So to me, there's a big difference between very good and great. And since I've been on the board for 18 months, we've had communities that cannot sleep at night, including mine. We have had a tremendous amount of anxiety. We have maps still on the route. We have routes still up there. There's a young lady here today. There's no way the Beltway is getting done. We all know that, but her and her family don't know that. So 18 months now I've been watching this, and there are times when you need great. Now, Mike may still be great, okay? I've heard a lot of conversation that indicates to me that he's coachable, that he's come a long way in areas where perhaps he was previously more challenged. By the way, Mike, I always thought you were a school teacher. I didn't know you were an engineer. So to be clear, I think Mike could still be great, but it's going to take great to get what might be this real meaningful regional relief and some path figured out and so forth, and everybody feeling more collaborative on board, including the communities involved. That may take great, not very good. And what we would be endorsing right now for another 5 years at the end of 18 months in a very, very challenging time for the agency is very good. And I can't vote for that.
Thank you. Director Kring?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Very interesting comments from everybody. I've been an alternate for the last year and a half, and I'm delighted I'm here today to vote on this, which I will be supporting the extension. And I think that this gives Mike a level of, I can be here, I can do my thing, I'm improving every day. And for us, those of us who were here prior to Mike's arriving, remember how this agency was in complete flux. We had a CEO who was really not on the job very much and did a lot of things so he was let go. Mike came in as an engineer, and he was here as an acting CEO, and then he was promoted, got rid of the acting, and became the CEO. I haven't been to that many meetings, but the meetings that I have attended in the last year and a half, I've seen a marked improvement in Mike. And I don't think that we're just saying, okay, 5 years, it'll go out to the press, obviously. And I think that is a level of confidence that we have in him. And I do have a level of confidence in Mike. I think he's been a great leader. For me, he's very easy to speak with. and I don't get along with engineers because I don't understand them. But he's been great. He's very attentive, and so maybe he taught engineering. But I will be supporting this. And again, remember, he did not have an evaluation last year, so we're kind of doing catch-up. And if he had had an evaluation last year, perhaps this conversation will go in a different level. And I was here, and I voted for the settlement. It was a labor of love. It was very, very difficult to bring all those parties together. And Mike and his staff did it. And they did it with a great deal of confidence and a great deal of respect for all sides. So with that one hurdle is completely finished. So, Mike, I think you're doing a great job, and I will be happy to approve the extension.
Thank you, Director Crank. Director Puckett and then Director Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've been here over 5 years. I went through the term of the previous CEO, which I felt was a disaster. My hero here, Mr. Sachs, I thought said it very well. And if I could have just stood up at that time and said ditto, I would have said double ditto. I think you said it right. Mike, I think you came in at a tough time. You've done a great job, and I'm very, very supportive of your leadership. So I'll be supporting this proposal.
Thank you, Director Puckett. Director Ward.
I wanted to make a comment about the settlement agreement. For those of you that weren't here and are new, that agreement was done without notice to the city of San Juan Capistrano or the city of San Clemente. We were not briefed on it. Not only were we not briefed on that settlement agreement, those cases never came up in the 2 years that I was on the board in closed session. So when everyone says it was a labor of love and how great it was, I'd like to know when that was discussed and who was on that. The big thing about the settlement, it was Mike Kramen and some of the board's decision, maybe the executive board, to follow this settlement, and it would be a great springboard to start trying to do other alignments, including trying to take over Los Patrones Parkway, which is being built as a free arterial. And I would ask all of you, how's that process going so far?
We're talking about.
No, I know,
with
but
all due
they're all
respect, my good
saying, as
friend.
far as, let's not blame it on Mike. I believe it was Mike Kramen's direction. As a director, this is how we can go forward. Maybe all of you are happy with that, but some of us and some of our residents are not happy with going forward on the process. So that's the last thing that I would say. And it's hard when I hear from new people that say, you know, everything's great, the settlement was great. The process so far is not good.
Thank you, Director Ward. Any other comments?
I'd call
Director
for the,
Murphy?
no, I'd just call for the question, Mr. Chair.
All right.
That means
I want to make some
that means
final
entertain a
comments
motion.
before the motion. I'm a new guy here. I joined the TCA because my colleague, Councilwoman Lori Davies, replaced the position, and she asked me to be a part of this dynamic organization. So as a newcomer, I've enjoyed working, dealing, talking to CEO Mike Kramen. He brings a lot of knowledge. He brings a lot of information to the table. And I have seen, quite frankly, a lot of improvements in my personal interaction with him. I happen to be an engineer, and I happen to be a transportation engineer, and that's what I've been doing for 35 years between New York and Hawaii in my past life. And I've dealt with a lot of huge organizations and going to courts a lot as an expert witness. And I bring all of that in my decision-making process. And let me clarify a couple of items to recap all these discussions, and we want to make a final vote and move forward. I'm one person, one vote. The same goes with everyone, Director Ward and Director Marriott and Director Schwartz. Everyone that happened to be in the committee had the opportunity to chime in, to comment in any shape or form. From my perspective, speaking for one voter, one decision maker, in my judgment, it was fair. I would have hoped that everyone in the committee would have participated all along. There are some committee meetings that some of my colleagues don't show up. as you know, we cannot force anyone to show up. You have other obligations, you have other responsibilities. So with all that said, in my judgment, the evaluation process was fair and it was equitable. And at the end, everyone scored Mike Raymond's performance in different categories. Yes, there were some categories that even I was not happy, but it was only specifically to respond to you, my good friend Director Ward, that I did not give a high score. It was a low score that I, for one, gave, but I cannot disclose it. I don't want to get into those, personal, individual details and feedback. So yes, I gave a low score, but in other categories, for someone who's running this dynamic organization, yes, we have a lot of challenges, we have a lot of issues ahead of us. Growth is inevitable. I know because of the population growth in this county and everything else, this agency, this organization, and all of us who represent, the great people of 22 cities and unincorporated areas of Orange County, we have moral, ethical, and legal obligations to watch everything so that when we cast our votes in any shape or form, we serve our communities. So with all that said, in my judgment, to recap, he's done a very good job. The settlement agreement with the environmental, that's a different thing. It happened honestly before my time that I joined this great organization that I've enjoyed working with all of you. So that's a separate thing, and I'm sorry, it's past. In my view, as a newcomer here, it's past. We are moving forward. We want to think about what we can do to make this county greater and how Orange County can be one of a vibrant county by providing transportation, infrastructure improvements in any shape or form, as long as the JPA would allow us to do that legally speaking. So with all that said, quite frankly, that's my final take that, I've been very pleased, and hey, we need to move forward. If there are no other comments, then I would like to entertain motions. So, any other questions, Director Murphy?
No, I'm just trying to call for the question again.
All right. It's not debatable.
Hopefully not. Except by the chair.
Okay, who's abstaining and who's opposing? No, Director Schwartz, Director
Opposed.
Ward.
To be clear, we're voting on. Oh,
The
we're voting
ex-
on the extension. I thought we
extension.
were voting on the call to the question. No, I vote no.
Okay, 3 noes and no abstention, and the motion is carried. Director Voigt, final call. Okay, we leave him. Okay, Director Voigt, no vote on this. Very good. All right, the motion is carried. Thank you. Moving on to the next item. Item number 13.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Directors, good morning. I'm Doug Ferramenga, Environmental Planning Department. The item before you today is patrol services for 2 of our mitigation sites. This item was presented to the Joint Environmental Committee, and the committee
please.
unanimously.
Would you stop for 1 second?
I'm sorry.
Vice Chair,
Mr. Craven, the last 3 items are all foothill items. Can I move adjournment of the San Joaquin Hills Agency? I move adjournment for the San
Any
Joaquin Hills
second?
Corridor Agency.
all right, it was seconded. Okay, the motion is carried.
Thank you very much.
Have a great day.
But all vice chairs have to stay at the dais in case we have a problem with the chair.
Yeah. It's okay with me. Please proceed.
Okay, thank you. So this item was presented to the Joint Environmental Committee, and the committee approved to recommend this item to the Foothill Eastern Transportation Corridor Agency. For over 25 years, the agencies have been committed to balancing the construction and operation of its roadways with the preservation of open space and wildlife habitat. We have over 2,000 acres of mitigation sites spread throughout Orange County, as you can see in the map presented here. We have a total of about 17 sites. The photos that you're looking at, the top photo is our Bonita Creek Channel, which is in the city of Newport Beach. And it's an example of the riparian habitat that we have, which is home to the least Bell's vireo, shown in that photo. I promise you we're not under attack by some giant birds. That's just the least Bell's vireo, which is a federally endangered species. The second photo, the photo in the middle, is typical of our cactus habitat, which is home to the cactus wren, California species of special concern. And the bottom photo is Upper Chiquita, which is showing California's coastal sage scrub, which is home to the coastal California gnatcatcher. The sites that we're talking about today are sites number 8 and 13. To the right-hand side of the map, you see just left of that Rancho Santa Margarita label. The first site, site number 8, is the Upper Chiquita Conservation Area. This is the largest of our mitigation sites, approximately 1,158 acres. It is at the south end of the 241 at Oso Parkway, where it terminates at Oso Parkway. We acquired this parcel back in 1996 when we were doing the Foothill Oso section, which is between Antonio and Oso Parkway. It was formerly slated, it used to be used for cattle grazing and eventually was planned for development, including a golf course. We were able, working with the resource agencies, to put a conservation easement which protected this property from development in perpetuity. We subsequently created, restored, or enhanced various habitats within this property, and it is now home to over 125 different species. To the right is Saddle Club, which is the newest addition to our mitigation sites. This site is approximately 33 acres, and it's in the Trabuco Canyon area. It's bound by OCTA's O'Neill Oaks Preserve to the east, O'Neill Regional Park to the west and south. To the north, we have some open spaces, and further north is Cleveland National Forest. This creates some opportunities for wildlife movement as well, in addition to the restoration that we can actually do on the site itself. Upper Chiquita, we have a resource management plan, and as part of the conservation easement, there's no public access allowed on this site. And that's mainly in order to maintain and protect the biological resources of the site. We had private patrols since 2002 patrolling this site, and we were experiencing high incidence of trespassing at this site, including the perimeter fence being constantly cut, and we had to have our maintenance contractor go to the site 1 to 2 times every quarter. So that's up to 8 times a year to repair the fences. So in spite of the perimeter fence, in spite of the private patrols, in spite of the no trespassing signs on the site, we had high incidence of trespassing. In 2015, staff proposed and the board approved a 2-pronged approach to patrolling this site. That approach involves the Orange County Mounted Enforcement Unit. You see in the photo to the right, it's 2 of the members that patrol these sites, Sergeant Didi Kurime and Kenny Chisholm. The other part is the private patrol. You see further to the right, Tony Castillo. He's the owner and founder of High Level Security Solutions, which also patrols this site. Since we have had this 2-pronged approach, we've seen a substantial reduction in the number of trespassing incidents on this site, approximately 89%. We've been evaluating this approach since we brought it in starting FY16, which is why we bring the Orange County Mounted Enforcement Unit contract to the board every year. The private patrol was awarded this contract in 2017 in April after a competitive RFP process. It's a 3-year contract with 2 one-year options. We're still in year 1 of this contract. I'm talking about what we are proposing is to add Saddle Club to the private patrol. That will not change the duration of the contract. And we also negotiated with the private patrol, so there won't be any changes to the rates. So we'll just be adding Saddle Club to the contract for the private patrol. Saddle Club, like I said, is the newest addition to our mitigation sites. We are currently in the process of developing a site use plan, which we hope to complete by this time next year. Typically, open space, preservation, and recreation are viewed to be diametrically opposed. They cannot exist in the same space. We think there's a balance there. There's harmony that can be achieved if planned right, and this is what we are hoping to achieve with this site use plan. We will have some habitat conservation which can be used for future mitigation, but we're also excited with the opportunities to balance the habitat conservation with the potential recreational uses. As you can see in the photo in the middle picture, we have some structures. So in addition to the resources we have some structures on this site. And in order to deter vandalism and potential illegal transient activities, we are proposing to have this site added to the private patrols so they can patrol this site 2 to 3 days a week. And again, this will not change the existing contract that we have with the private patrol. At this time, staff is requesting that the board approves the recommendations as presented in the staff report before you and also in this slide. Thank you, and I'll be happy to take any questions that the board might have.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Any questions?
Second.
I'd like to further discussion.
Director Voigt?
Obviously, I'm used to having open space and public property dedicated for public access, so hiking, mountain biking, and horseback riding. I think that we buying this as conservation and taking it off the docket to allow for natural plant habitat to regain its abundance, I think is good, but the fact is the long-term disallowing of public access, horses, mountain biking, and hiking, I think is the wrong direction that we as a public agency should be taking in putting this barbed wire fence around property that I think is a natural beauty, and we want our people, our residents, to go up there and hike, and we want the horses, people with the equestrian, I like the equestrian trails to be utilized by our clubs that are up there, and I think it's wrong that we just close 1,100 acres right next to Coto de Caza, which is still an equestrian center, equestrian housing. I think it's wrong for us to be closing off and talking about people up there that are horseback riding in Upper Chiquita as trespassers. I think that they have a right to use the public land that was there for the natural beauty of all those that are trying to get out there and to the great white outdoors. So I'm against this proposal.
Thank you, Director Voigt, for your comments. Director Bartlett?
So we have some land at OCTA that's mitigation as well, and we had to have the mounted patrols. We had people cutting through fences, and we do have some days of the year, though, that we have at Ferber Ranch, for instance. We have the trails that are utilized on a consistent basis, but with guides, because what happens is when people cut through the fences, and whether they're on a motorbike or just walking through the area, that they're trampling all over the endangered species area and areas that we've set aside for mitigation. And so there has to be that balance. I completely understand where Director Voigt is coming from, but there has to be that balance with the environment and setting aside land for mitigation, and consistent with people wanting to get access to trails and things. So, at OCTA we have some guided trail tours during the year, and perhaps we can consider that for some of the areas around these properties that might be appropriate. But we can't let the public just run loose with motorbikes and horses and everything else, because we've got to protect the environment, and that's why it's labeled mitigation land. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Bartlett.
I actually have a response to that. I'm not talking about motorbikes or dune buggies. I'm talking about horses and hikers. I'm not talking about motorcycles or dune buggies going up there doing that. So I think that we allowing it to be the natural beauty of horses to be utilized in that area, I think is a good move. So,
thank you, CEO Kramer.
So let's hope that our experiment at Saddle Club property is a success, because our permits don't allow us to allow that kind of access. We do periodically offer tours of the site. We'll hear a little later on today about access that we provided to the site. But it's an area that we agree and we want to move to that. But we're going to have a successful experiment with Saddle Club where we can show that those can coexist in a way that doesn't take away the purpose of which they were set aside. So we look forward to that, and then perhaps we can have discussions about modifying some of our existing permits in those areas. And we'd like to get there, but we have to demonstrate it first.
Thank you, Director Mueller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I understand Director Boyd's concern. However, you know, when you start talking about hikers like to walk dogs. I've been caught walking a dog on a leash on a trail through an area where there were protected species, and I had a park ranger come up and tell me that, they're not allowed here, and I didn't understand that because I was on the trail on a leash, and he said it's just the sheer fact that, dogs urinate, they mark territory, just their sheer presence can scare off protected species. And I understood that, and I apologized, and I walked off, and I've never taken my dog back there. So, I understand we want everybody to be able to utilize it. There are reasons why they're mitigated and why we don't allow horse and foot traffic through there. So I'm going to support this, but I would like to see us try to get there if we can, if we can get around the issue with the protected species being scared off. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments? Vice Chair Shea, please.
Yes, thank you, just briefly. And I would love to see Director Mueller with his leash on. I didn't know that he wore a leash, but I'd like to see that sometime. A very real visual in my mind. So maybe we could bring this to Environmental Committee just for more robust discussion, more specifics and detail to facilitate the concerns of Director Boyd. I think that would be a good starting point, that we could use that committee to have some discussion and more detail about this. Would that be okay?
Yes, we will take
Okay.
that to committee.
And with that, I'll move the recommended action. Oh, it was already moved, was it?
It was already moved,
1,
yeah.
2, and 3, okay.
Second. Director Wong, all in favor? Aye.
I'd like to recognize a no vote.
Acknowledged, thank you. We're getting to item number 13. Mr. Mike Chesney.
Good morning, Chairman Minigar and directors of the board. The City of San Clemente's Foothill Eastern Transportation Corridor Agency Director Kathy Ward requested at the April 12th, 2018 Joint Board of Directors meeting to have the City of San Clemente's IBI arterial and mobility study placed on the agenda for today's board meeting. And so I would like to bring up Mike Arizabal, and he's with IBI, and he will present their study.
Thank you, Chairman, Board. Mike Arizabal again, IBI Group. IBI Group was commissioned by the City of San Clemente to evaluate alternatives to a toll road extension from Oso to move through, okay, from Oso to any point on the I-5 for incorporation into OCTA's 2018 Long Range Transportation Plan. Essentially, there are 4 goals. The first being to understand baseline conditions with and without the 241 extension. The purpose of that is to determine any shifts in traffic on key corridors due to implementation of a toll road, and to assist in development of alternative arterial solutions. The second is to identify and develop potential roadway alternative packages to improve mobility. So that's based on what we see in terms of traffic diversion in our baseline 2040 with and without 241 extensions. And then our third is to analyze and compare alternative packages to this, our 241 extension. So the purpose of that is to see if there's similar and or better results that could be achieved within the study area that doesn't involve any kind of north-south connection through the City of San Clemente. Lastly is provide our findings and conclusions. With that, I could just briefly run through our methodology. We use OCTA's travel demand model. That's 4.0. That's the latest one. It's countywide accepted for use in transportation planning. Within the OCTA model, they use 2040 demographics, socioeconomic data. They also use projects from the preferred plan. That's the 2014 OCTA LRTP preferred plan, which includes Measure M2 projects, build out of the Master Plan of Arterial Highways, MPAH. And then with that as our base, we want to go ahead and run and compare scenario results, and that's based on study area, which is roughly from I-5 Oso Parkway down to the county line, and then citywide, which is within City of San Clemente, and then along key corridors within the study area. The things that we're looking for here are, our key metrics, our standard VMT, vehicle miles traveled, VHT, vehicle hours traveled, VHD, which is our vehicle hours of delay, and then volume to capacity ratios along specific corridors that we're looking at. Again, this slide here just shows the basic calculation of how we're arriving at these numbers. So if I could just walk through our various network configurations. So on the left, baseline do nothing. That includes 2040 projections, but using our 2012 roadway network. So as you can see, there are things that are not built out. San Juan Capistrano and Las Ramblas extensions, La Pata, you can see those roadways aren't developed in that network. The purpose of that is just to show what implementation of the LRTP would do in terms of improving mobility. The second one on the right there is our no project. That's our baseline 240 with our M2.
Would you stop for 1 second?
Sure.
Vice Chair Sachs has a comment.
Sure.
I appreciate the presentation, but we have nothing in our binders about this. We don't have your slides or anything. I wondered why we don't have this presentation.
Can I make a comment on that, Chair?
Please.
I asked the clerk to send that, and I believe she did so Monday or Tuesday to every director. So it could be provided so you could see it way ahead of time, so you could ask questions. I was hoping for questions
My question is why it's not in the binder.
We did not receive the material till after the agendas had been sent out.
I don't have a set either, so I have no information on this.
Okay.
Please proceed.
Okay. All right, the one on the right, like I said, is our 240, year 2040 no project. So that's built out of the OCTA or LRTP preferred plan, Measure M2 projects, MPAH. So you see the street network comes in there. Our WITH project obviously is an extension of the 241 from Oso down to about Christianitos there on the left side. The middle one, which we define as package 2, is going to be a Los Patrones / F Street connection between Cow Camp and Ortega, and then La Pata extension down to Christianitos as well, and also a La Pata widening from Ortega to Pico. Let's see. So just, using the charts as a guide, the blue bars being the study area, and then the red bars being within the city of San Clemente. As you can see from a VMT, VHD, and VHT perspective, everything's pretty close. There isn't much improvement over the other based on the 4 packages defined when you're comparing it just to our baseline 240 no project. So in terms of our findings, study our metrics, VMT, VHT, VHT, they're all within 5.5% of each other. Within the city, it's even closer, 2.7% of each other. And then as we look to define what the volumes are with and without the 241, if they did put a 241 extension from Oso to the I-5, that would attract a little bit less than 12,000 vehicles. That's something, in terms of scale, 12,000 vehicles, something that we plan for a 2-lane divided collector road. The La Pata extension down to the I-5, even less than 250 vehicles. And then the small segment had less than half-mile, Los Patrones extension between Cow Camp and Ortega, that actually had a bit less than 21,000 vehicles in terms of demand. So the Los Patrones F Street connection is essentially, higher than the 241 extension and the La Pata extension combined in terms of volume. And we're looking at daily volumes here. So in summary, we evaluate 4 groupings of projects at year 2040 to understand mobility impacts in South Orange County with and without the toll road extension. We use OCTA's certified regional model to evaluate the metrics such as VMT, VHT, and VHD. And then our conclusions, toll road extension doesn't provide significant traffic relief from a north-south activity perspective. It's actually more important to address east-west demand and their connections between the I-5. So the study error metrics have been shown to be similar across all scenarios. And our main takeaway is if you just build out the OCTA's LRTP plan, the preferred plan, it's just as effective in terms of ability and congestion than any connection of the SR 241 to the I-5. With that, I could, I know you guys don't have the data in front of you, but if you have any questions based on the presentation, I'll take those now.
Thank you very much. I do have quite a few questions for you. And before we proceed, I wanted to just disclose this, that I wanted to thank Director Ward for spending almost 2 hours with me in Indian Wells last week. When we were attending the SCAG meeting, we sat down. I was sitting next to her on her laptop. We were going over the old reports, but not this specific report that I have requested to see. I wanted to see all your documentations.
Sure.
Now, I understand the way you went over those. I don't see any assessments on the LOS's level of service for specific segments. I want to see highway capacity software, highway capacity manual to be used. I want to see it for the ramps, for the ramp junctions, for the weaving segments, for the freeway segments. I don't see that. I don't see synchro assessment using 10.0 version, which is the latest one in the US that every state DOT in this great country uses. I don't see any of those outputs. I don't see your inputs. I don't see your assumptions. I don't know that. I don't see that if you have used SCAG's 2040 assumptions with regard to population, employment, and housing for South Orange County. I don't see any of those. I don't see any reference to, you mentioned that like what's going to happen regardless of which scenario, which alternative. What happens to all those adjacent arterials? You need to show it on synchro. You need to use 10.0 version. C, you need to show queuing assessments for all those arterials, on-ramps and off-ramps. I don't see any of those. And with all due respect, you are representing a reputable company. I know your company very well. You guys do a very good job. But with regard to this, I don't see anything.
Sure, I could respond to that. In terms of the report, we have the report that's in review with the city now that can be distributed once it's finalized, and that does have all our assumptions. You're talking about level of service queuing. That's really microscopic.
Of course.
Our scope of work was to high-level analysis of traffic diversion.
But may I interject with all due respect? When
Sure.
you do high-level assessment of a proposed action plan, in this case for an infrastructure arterial,
Correct.
you need to get down into the bottom lines.
Right. So
the small numbers, then you cannot make that kind of conclusion if it's good or it's not good.
We can
As
make
a
it
practitioner,
we can,
as a registered engineer in California, New York, New Jersey, Oregon, Washington, and a bunch of states, as a practitioner, if you present it to me, I would not accept it.
Okay.
With all due respect.
Sure, understood. We aren't looking at that level of detail. This is our first pass at it. So given
Then
our
you cannot
scope,
make those global conclusions that if it's good or it's not good. It's basically you do the assessment, precursor assessment, and that's about it.
correct.
At this juncture, we're not advocating for any alternative. We're not advocating for anything. Your mission, I know the city of San Clemente has limited budget. I take it, I understand, I acknowledge that. But when you're coming to a board like this, when you're making conclusive statements, then I would expect to see all the supporting technical documentations that everyone in this great country would use. I don't see any of them.
We're comfortable with looking at the numbers in terms of traffic diversion and making an assessment from that. It's subject to more rigorous analysis after the fact. So let's say we select down and refine certain alternatives, then we could dig into intersection level service, queuing, ramp, freeway bridge diverge, weaving. We could do all that, but I'm just looking at a first pass. What are the volumes being
Then you cannot make
attracted to it?
those concluding statements, what I'm trying to get at.
Okay.
I'm with you. I mean, I would be more than happy to sit down and go over those, but I need to see those supporting documentation. Let me repeat, if you are not coming back or in the future or near future with any HCS, HCM results, any synchro, any VISM results, then I, for one, as a registered in California, not as a board member, not as a chairman, as a practitioner, I would say that I don't see any merit on the report.
Okay, so the VMT, it's not something standard that we look
Level
at.
of service, everybody uses level of service for weaving segments, for the freeway segments, for ramps, for ramp junctions. Everyone uses that.
Correct. I mean, the initial screening report looked at VMT, VHT, and
Those are for plan,
VHT.
those are for
Correct.
initial planning
Correct.
process.
We're not engineering a facility. We're at the very initial planning
No, I
stages.
understand that. We're not talking about the lane width, we're not talking about any of those. But when you're coming to a board like
Understood.
this, I would have expected that you bring in more data so you can substantiate your statements. Otherwise, you would have said that, okay, these are the findings, but in a very, very general perspective without any concluding statements. With that, Vice Chair Sheikh.
Yes, thank you very much. And I think I'll make a motion to hire you as our transportation expert. Is there a second? You did a great job.
Conflict of
Again,
interest.
I'm not really sure what this is about. Who authorized the study? Because I'm just kind of in the dark here. So this study was authorized by who, or who paid you to do it?
City of San Clemente.
Oh, okay, City of San Clemente paid you to do this. Okay, so I think that all I really needed to know. Thank you.
Director Huang.
I cannot say I understood that Fred just said. And maybe my question probably would be better answered, maybe with the data, or maybe you can just answer. I saw the information, and so I went to the Orange County OCTA's website, and their latest LRTP plan is for the expansion of 241. So what I don't see from your presentation and from your slide is how can you come to a completely different conclusion than the ones OCTA made? And so if you can explain how you can completely be different, unless the reason is because they use all the data that Fred just alluded to, and you're only looking at a very small portion. If that's the case, then we're really comparing apples to apples. We're comparing apples to tomatoes here. And that's not helpful. I appreciate the information because, we want to look at everything, but I got to have some comparison here. That's one. Number two is, you said, well, built out of OCTA LRTP preferred plan. Well, in that case, then you're supporting OCTA's plan, which right now supports extension of 241. So unless you're looking at a different plan than I am, but the one I looked at last night is the most current version. So if you can also answer that question for me, that would be helpful. And number three, Martha, can you go back a couple of slides, because I was kind of drawn to this one, to the keep going, it's a graph, one more, I think. This one, this one. Your with project and package 2, I'm kind of interested in your 241 extension and your La Pata extension. And I don't have all our routes map in front of me, but that looks like you're examining a project that goes through the watershed. Isn't that part of our settlement that we're just not considering at all? If that's the case, then I think you're using the wrong map.
Going to that point, the exact route is immaterial in terms of what we're trying to achieve, which is the demand induced by any connection through the city of San Clemente.
But you can't tell me that, but you're taking all this in your analysis, and this is what you're telling me with Project H2 and Package 3. If it's irrelevant, then why is it in here?
It's not that it's irrelevant. It's the exact path is immaterial to the traffic volumes that are being diverted onto there.
That's really not answering my question still, is why are you even including it if you're saying the direct map this doesn't matter to your direct route, then why are you even
It does matter.
putting it?
It's an extension to Christianitos via
But we're not
La
looking
Pata.
at with project or package 2.
That's what we define as a scenario, just to provide as a comparison point.
But it should be tossed out because that's part of the settlement. That's what I'm
Our
asking
scope isn't
you.
to, through the TCA study, and discredit or, reinvent the wheel. We're looking at different alternatives from a mobility standpoint, arterial level highway standpoint, that we could do as opposed to any connection through San Clemente there. And your point about OCTA approving the 241, that's currently modeled in there as part of the agreement, which did go away, similar to options 14 and 17. But the data that we use is from OCTA. It's from the 2014
Right, but their
preferred plan.
LRTP is saying 241 extension, but they're not talking about the green alignment, they're talking about extension. So it's kind of like, that's what we're doing right now, is looking at options, not the green line one. But so I'm trying to figure out, if you're saying, well, I'm going to promote that, then, you know, all routes are on the table.
Sure.
Would you agree with that?
Sure, all routes are on the table.
Okay,
but-
so then I don't see what you want me to draw from conclusion with the following sentence, 241 shouldn't be extended, which is your following sentence.
Okay.
So do you see where I'm
Sure.
having trouble with your analysis right now?
And I think the
Or do you
report
think
will
you need
answer
to
a lot
come
of
back
questions.
with that?
The report will answer a lot of questions. We have a full report on our methodology.
Okay,
and
then why
we
don't I
selected
have a
certain
copy
things.
of it?
We're not completed yet. We're
Okay, so
still in review.
if you have it, why are you here?
Why are you here?
Wait a minute, wait, Chair, can I interject
It's a-
here?
it's a
Or is Peggy done?
No,
trying to-
I mean, I'm.
No, please,
Oh, okay.
proceed.
Yeah, you know,
You've said your comments.
Yeah.
I just want to make a couple to what you said. First of all, this analysis is more in-depth than I've seen provided from this agency, our agency, to look into trying to do a South County mobility project. We tried to compare the areas of concern, which Mission Viejo concerned with Oso Parkway. We took all of that into account. That's what we tried to do with this. This is at the same level, maybe a little bit better than what I've seen from this agency. And I've been in all the mobility meetings for the last 2 years. So don't attack this. This is just our way. We're trying to figure out some solutions. That's what this is for. That's why he's here. I asked for it to be agendized, and the board to do that. With respect to OCTA and the LRTP, I believe the LRTP that they are providing to SCAG now removes the 241 from there because there is no extension. The green alignment is gone, as you said, and I believe it removes it. So if I don't see anyone here from OCTA, I would ask that.
Yes,
Do
we
you
have
see?
representative from OCTA,
Okay,
Mr.
I'm sorry,
Dave
he normally
Simpson,
sits
but
in the back. So I would like to hear that connected, because you're going after an engineer that did some work for us based on something in the LRTP. The other thing, your question on the La Pata extension to Christianitos, we have been asked to look into that. Even our board of supervisors said, you know, if Christianitos could just connect to La Pata and that ends in my city, that would be great. So we wanted to see if that had any value so that we could tell the board of supervisors, you know what, that had value, and the city of San Clemente is not going to oppose that. As far as the settlement agreement, that settlement agreement only bars Caltrans and TCA from doing that road. It doesn't bar San Clemente or Sandag, San Diego County from doing that road, or the base agreeing to it. So the settlement only involves this agency. Other agencies could try the road. The problem is, and the issue that we were surprised, is that road had no benefit. Everyone says, we just want to get around San Clemente, that's what we need. So we studied it. It had no benefit. It had so little vehicles on it that it just is not worth building. So that was good to know, because all these years we've heard, we just need to go around Clemente. So we did that. So it has nothing to do with the settlement. But I would ask if OCTA would come up and please tell us if the LRTP is going to reflect the 241, because there is no segment now to reflect.
your points are well taken, my good friend, Director Warren. Any other comments, Director Warren?
Well, I find it interesting that we're looking at somebody's conclusion when he just said he's not done with the report. So I appreciate
It's
your remarks,
preliminary.
but he just said he's not done with the report.
Okay.
That's what he just said,
Okay.
and so that's
Can we
why
have
I'm
an answer on
trying to.
the LRTP?
Wait, hold on, I'm not done. I'm trying not to draw any conclusion. What I did was I literally took what I saw from this and did my independent research, because I believe in always doing your own research, check other people's work, and not draw any conclusion until you've done so, and which is what I did, and that's why I'm asking the question. But if this gentleman is coming here and saying, but I'm not done with my report, then I'm just questioning, why are you why can't you have a conclusion at the end of your report, of your presentation, but then at the same time telling me you're not done with the report? I like a complete report because I want to be able to do that independent research. I can't do it based on graphs and 4-minute presentation when this is so complex. And Fred brought up a whole bunch of stuff that I just did not understand just now, and I would love to see that in writing. I'm a visual person. I read it and I'm going to study it. I'm going to double and triple check on it before I make any decision, but I can't do it and come in with a paragraph. And if everything that Director Ward is saying is in there, it's not in these, I can't draw your conclusion based on this. I want it in writing. I want a complete report.
Understood. This was,
If
you
this
know,
is a preliminary
this was intended to
report,
be
then
a
tell me it's a
overview of our study.
preliminary.
Can you, speaker, speak, please?
It's an overview of our study. The work effort is complete. It's a matter of finishing up a final report, not meaning we haven't done the work. We've done all the work. We're just finishing up a comprehensive report.
Then I suggest that when your report would have been completed, then you come and you show us a report. I always think global, but I act local. With respect to potential extension of 241, no decision has been made, and it's going to be in the foreseeable future. Maybe none of us would be here. On that note, I would have expected that you would use SCAG's model for all the 6 counties in Southern California, including you would have gone to SANDAG, San Diego Association of Governments, to look at all their projections, their forecasting. Then you would have looked at everything from a global perspective. Then you would have acted local with respect to that specific segment that would potentially traverse through the great city of San Clemente. So with that said, missings. Where are your TAZs, traffic analysis zones? I need to see, I have all the documents, I have all the information from SCAG. I sit on the transportation committee of SCAG, and I'm on the regional council of SCAG, and I represent all the coastal cities of Orange County at SCAG. I've never seen any of these. So I need to compare those with respect to what I get my information, which is SCAG, is the MPO for Southern California. I don't reference to those. All I heard from you, just in a nutshell, you used Octam from OCTA, and then you ran with the numbers, and you came up with 3 packages that I have no idea what each package would contain with regard to acreage, programmed land, approved projects. We don't see any of those, and then you're making a statement, you're coming up with a bunch of conclusions, which to me is extremely premature, strictly from a technical perspective. I'm very objective, very independent. I don't see any of those.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Chair Morgan.
Vice Chair Shea.
Could I just ask a quick question? And maybe to our CEO, why is this even on the agenda? It sounds like it's a working draft, and in any of our city work, we have working drafts. We never bring them public. We never affirm that they're complete. And just hearing, and this is not a criticism of you, obviously, I don't even know why this is on our agenda, but when we have a working draft, it never goes public. Because if in fact we've got these conclusions here, and they may be ultimately right, I don't know, but as you say, it sounds like we're missing a whole lot of connections here. It should never even be in the public domain until it's finalized. So.
Sure. And
Am I hearing you right? This is like more of a draft. You've got.
No, the analysis is final. There isn't changing with the numbers or network configurations. I'm only talking about a final report on our end summarizing everything up. The analysis is done. Going to
Well,
Chair's
but that's still
point,
a working document for, like in a city, if we hired you per se, I'm just saying, told me that, we would never have it out in the public till your final report was final, complete. There's nothing else to go back and tweak or work or rewrite or write. It's done. And so it really is a draft right now, and I do not know why this is in the public arena. It shouldn't be until it's
Would you
complete.
please finish what you were saying?
No, I'm
Is this a
talking,
draft?
please don't interrupt.
No,
I'm
no,
asking
you
the CEO.
cut him off. He was trying to answer your question.
Who agendized this.
All right.
We know
If
why
I
it's
could-
agendized. I asked for it to be
I didn't know
agendized.
who
Were you here?
agendized it. No, I don't remember.
No,
You must have been
my
here.
good friend, Director Ward, honestly, with all due respect, it was premature. I know it's an informational. I would have expected that, with all due respect, to get to the finish line and then you come and present it to us. If it doesn't have all the supporting documentations, then quite frankly, we're wasting our time because we don't
Yeah.
have the data, we don't have the information, and we're arguing about, hypothetical or, if you're right, I go by numbers. I'm very logical. I never fight with facts. I never fight with exact numbers because that's what they are. But I don't see any of them. In lieu of having any of those, this discussion becomes irrelevant.
I would just add, I work with facts and data and drive me, and well, here's my other question is, whether or not, did our staff have an opportunity to review the report? What I like to do is, I want to see the two of them, side by side. What am I looking at? I think that is the fair way of looking at in the whole global stuff, rather than, I feel like I'm just, I took this and I did my own research and I'm full of questions now and I have nothing else. It's just a lot more questions and that could be answered. So do we have an opportunity to review this?
So we,
Write
Mr.
something?
Clayman.
when Director Ward asked for this to be agendized, and so Mr. Chesney coordinated this item with her, and we were told that the presentation is on the city's website, so we had that available to us, and then we received this presentation on Tuesday to get it queued up for today, and the city provided Mike to make the presentation today.
I, for one, see it for the first time, so
Can I make a comment, Chair?
please.
So much negativity for
No,
a
it's
city.
not
Wait a minute. City that is trying to figure out mobility for our neighbors also, for Ladera Ranch, Mission Viejo, Coto de Caza,
And
San
my
Juan
city.
Capistrano, Dana Point. We are trying to do that because we don't feel we're getting that. And to be fair, the vehicle miles and vehicle hours traveled and all of that, that's all that we've been going on, that I've gotten from this agency, the same type of graphs to go into the South County Mobility Project and study and try to get up an EIR to do a 241 extension. We haven't had anything more than what you see here. This board all voted to do that.
We have
With
not.
staff.
No,
So we
Director
don't have
Ward, I
all
want to
that.
conclude this discussion because we're running out of time.
Okay.
We have not decided on any alternative,
But you have
option,
decided to
know
move
that.
forward on things that we believe are not going to provide help, that OCTA in the South County area have done a lot of work in coordination to do projects on the I-5. This agency keeps focusing on I-5 travel, and yet it's the east-west arterials connections that make the difference, and that's what we're trying to show you. It's, take it for what it is, but you don't, if we can provide the rest of them, we can do that, but we'll decide whether we're gonna do that or not, but take it for what the effort is that we did to do it.
No, I appreciate your efforts to conduct, to perform a traffic study independently on behalf of your city.
And
I
actually, it was on
understand
behalf
that.
of the region.
I understand. In my view, strictly speaking from a technical perspective, and I leave it with that because we're going overtime, it was inadequate.
It's the same as we do here, so then our
So-
projections are inadequate also.
So then we need to compare notes later. Mr. CEO Kramer. Oh, no all right, any other comments?
I just have a comment of when can we get a copy of your report?
It's in city review now, so within the next couple weeks.
Okay, thank you.
Could I just, could I ask,
Vice Chair?
could our staff respond to any of this, or they, just any overview or response, or were we
Not,
planning on that?
I mean, we'll wait to get the report, hopefully.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation and all your work. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I
And
would
thank
hope
you
that
for
the
coming.
board would
Thank you.
understand and appreciate that you
No,
analyze this.
Just a final comment. If I came with all the technical stuff, only you would understand what I was talking about.
I would
So
appreciate
I
it
only
traded to us in
overall.
a timely fashion. We
Understood.
got a lot of other things, city council meeting, board meetings. I sit
Sure.
on so many different things.
Sure.
I cannot get a report a day before the board meeting.
Understood.
You have to give us advance time with all the supporting documentation. You can put them on a flash drive, you can burn a CD, for all the board members would have the opportunity to review and to comment. And not everyone happened to be a transportation engineer, then they can consult with their own, experts. So then everyone would have the right understanding of your assumptions and your assessment, and ultimately your conclusion to any of these options. With that, I leave it there. Chair Sachs.
I just want to say it's rather insulting to tell us that we wouldn't understand you. We deal with technical stuff all the time in our cities and here, and to tell us we don't understand what you're talking about is absolutely ludicrous.
No, it's not, it's not.
Paula's
that way.
bored now.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
Don't apologize for us.
All right, I guess this
Thank you.
is just presentation only and no action is needed. Moving on to the last item, item number 14. Our Chief Communications Officer.
Good afternoon. Earlier in the meeting, Doug Ferramingo gave an overview of our environmental program. Over 2,000 acres set aside as environmental mitigation in association with constructing the 51 miles of toll roads. The Communications Department works with the Environmental Department and the Environment Committee to communicate and raise awareness of what we've done and our commitment to the program. Part of that communication plans includes doing something special every year. It's something special and different. And this year, with the idea of Melody Caruth, our former board and chair, and our environmental committee brought this idea that we should invite painters, artists out to our mitigation site and let them actually paint the scenery. And so what we did is we had this event. It was on April 20th, and this was the invitation for the event. This is Upper Chiquita Conservation Area. It's the 1,200 acres that we talked about earlier in the meeting that we have the patrols for. And it is not open to the public, but we do provide the public to come out in a controlled setting, and which is what we did with the artists. So we coordinated with the Southern California Plein Air Painters Association, which is based right in and they provided painters that showed up at 6 o'clock in the morning on this beautiful day. It was lovely because we had a little bit of rain the day before, so it was just nice and clear. And they showed up at 6 a.m. and they painted until about 11:30. And they do that because, and they painted 2 paintings while they were there because the light changes. So the painting that you can paint at 8 a.m. is very different than the painting that you would paint at 11 a.m. So you see some of the painters here, and there in the car is Director Sachs and Melody Caruth came out to the event, and they actually got out in the Jeep because they went about 1.5 miles, I think, into the site, and were painters located in different places, and they all had different views of.
And we got lost.
So one of the things we did, we put a little video together, to only 1 minute, to show, highlight the event.
In April 2018, nearly 40 artists from the Southern California Plein Air Painters Association spent a spring morning painting the landscape of the Upper Chiquita Canyon Conservation Area. In French, plein air or outside. Many believe painting outdoors allows the artist to better represent the true colors, natural light, form of shapes, and the feel of a scene. A pristine outdoor setting that is rarely open to the public, the picturesque Upper Chiquita Canyon is a painter's delight located in the inland foothills of Orange County, California. The corridor agencies restored the habitat in association with building the 241 toll road to support important populations of coastal California gnatcatchers and coastal cactus wrens. It also provides valuable connectivity for wildlife movement. For more than 25 years, the agencies have been committed to balancing construction and operations of the toll roads with the open space and wildlife habitat in Orange County, California.
And here finally is a photo of all the painters and the staff that worked on the event. And I especially want to thank Stephanie Knapp, who is assistant for my department and also the strategy department, who really pulled this whole event together and made it a very, so the painters, and then we had some lunch. And as you see, the paintings were all set out. And since they all went to different parts of the mitigation site, they were just as interested to see each other's paintings as we were to see them all come. And that was really fun as they looked and compared. And you see some samples here that some of our staff purchased, and the one here in the center will be hung in the room after today's meeting. So that concludes the event. We're thinking next year's special event will likely have to do with the new Saddle Club property, and as we put together that plan to have actually access along with mitigation.
Very good. Thank you very much for your great presentation. Any comments?
Actually,
Oh.
painted out there.
Well, like 50, about
50?
50 paintings. And so the artists they're all individual, and so different artists have them actually in galleries. We do have the cards, and we have the information about the association if anyone's interested in them to see the other paintings. And there will be the Southern California Plein Air Association puts on 2 shows over the year, and some of the paintings that they painted at those shows may be at the site. So they're both oil, and the ones, I know this side can't see them, but the ones on the side here that are at the bottom with the glass frames are actually watercolors, and the other are oil paintings.
Do we have any kind of gallery where they actually have? Do we have the pictures of these all on our website? I mean, the natural beauty of what we are doing here in Saddleback Valley, and preserving the natural beauty of that. But in fact, is that what we're doing for wildlife along the 241 corridor with the fencing and stuff is remarkable. So we are leading the charge out there. So that'd be kind of beautiful to have those kind of as a gallery post on our website.
Actually, we do have the photos. One of our graphic artists was there and took a photo actually of every single painting as it was being painted with the artist, and we have those on our Flickr account. So we have loads of photos, a slideshow with all the paintings. We also have the video on our website in our environmental page and on our
So
YouTube
maybe
channel.
to do a video of all those 50 pictures and send it out to us as board
Okay.
members. I think that would be a nice gift for us all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. No action is needed. Moving on to the public comments. We have any public comments?
No, we don't.
Very good. Thank you. Public comments section is closed. Oh.
Do you have 2 minutes?
Please.
My name is Jeff Mysek. My wife and I just moved from Chicago to
Welcome to Orange
California.
County.
Thank you. Thank you to all of you for enduring what looks to be a very difficult and exhausting process. I also want to say thank you to TCA because I actually spend a lot of money on the toll road. It's something that is very helpful, but I also appreciate the impact that it has in a lot of decision making that goes through, not only from active, but we heard from a lot of residents, and there's a lot of concern. Our concern as our family, selfishly, is that we're trying to figure out where to actually locate, right? Where to live permanently and raise our son.
Laguna Niguel.
San Clemente.
And I've been hearing these rumors about this extension. What was a little bit difficult for me is to understand what not the options, I saw the map of all the different numbers and the options, but what the timeline is and the process for how that decision would be made. And so if there is something that exists, it would be wonderful so that the public, in addition to myself, because I imagine I'm not the only one who's considering decisions based on the decisions that you all make. And so it would be wonderful to know, if there's a way to rank the likelihood of options, if there's a way to determine a timeline by when you will make decisions. Very, very helpful as someone who's looking to purchase property.
If
So
you're
just-
willing to wait for 4 years or 5 years.
Okay. Don't
The
wait.
market's supposed to go down, but I'd be looking now
Okay.
and make some deals.
We didn't get your name. Sorry.
I'm sorry. My name is Jeff Mysek.
Jeff, in Mitigate, 241 runs through Lake Forest. So we're the gateway to South Orange County, and the ease that getting in and out of Lake Forest has been enhanced by the 241 running through our eastern border. So come to Lake Forest, and
Gotcha.
good luck to you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time, and again,
All
thank you
right.
for your commitment.
Thank you very much. We don't have any closed session items, and the scheduled meeting of San Joaquin Hills and Foothill Eastern Board of Directors will be held June 14th, 2018 at 9:30 a.m. The meeting is adjourned.